Well, good Wednesday morning. Welcome to the WLBB Community Voice here on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3, streaming live online at newstalk1330.com. You can also check out all of our programming on the News Talk 1330 WLBB app. And this morning, we're on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. Good morning. I'm Colin Worthington. Our guest here used to be pretty frequent on the program. I hadn't seen him here in the studio, I think, since pre-COVID, but glad to have him back. His name is Bob Jackson. He's Executive Director of the Carroll County Reentry Coalition. And I was excited to bring him on and talk about, hey, what's going on? I mean, I figured COVID had to have some kind of effect on this program, and I think we'll find out that did a little bit. And it's encouraged him. I think once he got through all that, it's encouraged him to make some plans for the future, start recruiting some people to do exactly what he's doing. Again, Bob Jackson, good morning.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
It's been challenging with the COVID, but real resilient, and we just work right through it. And we're just as strong now as we were.
For, again, 3 years, maybe some people weren't watching the program then or listening to the program then who might not be familiar with exactly what you guys do. And I know there's some names you want to talk about, too, that have helped out a lot in the past. So you mind digging up the history, how the need came about and then the people who got this started and got it to where it is right now?
No, I mean, excuse me, when you look at the history, it started with Mr. Ferris, myself, and Mr. Sims. And some others like Miss Cato, and we got together. The problem was coming in because we were members of the NAACP at the time, and the problems was coming in that the mothers and the parents and relatives and what have you was seeing their children or the people going back and forth into jail and subsequently to prison. And they was wondering what was going on because they hadn't committed another crime. So we got involved and found out that a lot of it was technical violations. And so we got in and we met with the Department of Corrections and talked to them about it and asked them, how can we help this process, stop the bleeding here? Because people are not committing other crimes.
Was it offense of their probation? Is that what it was? I mean, they did something against their probation?
It was probation.
They could have been in a certain place or something with somebody who was a bigger criminal. And
technical violations. Yeah. Technical to me and to us is a discretionary thing. You have to send back all the time and every time. If they're standing on the corner, they're supposed to be at home. Why violate and send them back because of the cost that's involved with that process? So we got together and put this program together, which we intervened and started to get people work, started to find housing, started to start mentor programs, and just helped with the entire process, and start to eliminate those violations that was happening. I mean, it was just unreal. It was really unreal. So we put the program together, and we started to receive some of the people from the prisons, the jails, and even in the community. We started to talk to them, bring them in, sit down, talk. What was the problems? What were they having? A lot of it was domestic. So we got involved in that process, talking to the wives, the girlfriends, the mothers, the grandmothers, the fathers in some cases, to see if things could be worked out where they would help also in communicating with these guys and preventing them from going back to prison. Working was one of the biggest things. They couldn't find work. So we started that process and got with the employers. Some employers was hiring and some wasn't, because automatically when they found out they had a record,
it's on the application, right?
It's on the application. So that was a problem. So we had to start working with the employers and the Department of Labor and Human Resource to find out if it was something that could be done. So we started teaching them on looking at backgrounds. What you see all the time is not necessarily what it is. If a guy was arrested for armed robbery, was he convicted for armed robbery? So that process started, and that was over the years. I mean, that didn't happen overnight. Believe me, none of this happened overnight. It took years to get where we are now. But, in looking at that, housing was a big problem then and is a huge problem now. So men that are released, they, sometimes
can't get the job, they can't get a loan, right?
Loan?
Yeah.
Oh no such thing as a loan. But we're talking about just regular housing, such as apartments. The housing program, the city housing authorities or the county housing authorities. That's what we're talking about is a problem. And then when we look at individual housing rentals, people are not going to rent out to a person that they know has a prison record, and especially without a job. So we work at all those angles in trying to get people to understand they had a hiccup in their life, but that doesn't define them as to who they really are. You got to get to know these people. And that's what we was working at, getting people to know people, basically.
How do you do that? How do you convince somebody who really might have that preconceived notion, and not that they're always wrong when they have that notion, but how do you convince somebody to open up their heart and be a little more patient and allow whether it's somebody who's hiring an employer or if it's a property owner?
Well, there's a lot of things involved in that process. Number one, do they trust us? Mm-hmm. That's number one. So that's the thing that we had to make sure that we maintain was trust and integrity, working with the various entities. But once we developed that, then we could call for a meeting to sit down and talk about each individual. We didn't just send them someplace. We went with them. And wherever there was a gap in conversation, we would help fill that. And the person that was being interviewed felt a little bit more confident and comfortable with us being there, because they've all, heard that thing about, well, you got a record, so I'm sorry, we cannot hire you. Mm-hmm. But we help work through that in a lot of cases.
And you do have the backing of the county and the city in that. At least I think your house or the business is right there beside the police station. It's a city property, so they're obviously supporting you.
Right.
And then you've got the Carroll County name on that, so that's got to help with a reputation as well. Right?
That helps with reputation, but here again, you got to deal with the individual.
Mm-hmm.
And the county has always been supportive. The city has always been supportive. Southwire has always been supportive. And it's a few other entities that have been supportive. Steve Adams has been supportive of the program. But here again, trying to get people, and now we've got looking at a different angle now, because volunteerism is down. Employment should be higher than it is, but for some reason people are not working, and the jobs are available. The companies are more lenient now. I
was going to say, are they more open to it because they really do need?
In interviewing and bypassing the record, as long as it's not a hideous type situation. Sure. And even with that, sometimes it depends on the individual that they take a real close look at. Not necessarily the crime itself.
Do you like document and chart stats, and how do you determine how successful the program is? I mean, do you keep stats of like, well, okay, we worked with 300 individuals this year.
We have the numbers.
Yeah,
we have the numbers. Matter of fact, we just got a report from Department of Corrections on how many people are being released, and we're looking at about 70 that are being released to the Carroll County area right now, this month alone, and that is every month. And we keep those numbers and keep those statistics. And the thing of it is, it's been hard for me as an individual to work through all of that and keep the proper numbers that we have. And working with the Department of Corrections, working with the jail when someone is arrested, to calculate, how long they've been out before they was arrested. Because it's within 3 years or 5 years, then you look at recidivists. So it's been somewhat of a complication to keep the numbers right.
Would you consider it a success? You get them to move on to the next thing, whether it's whether it's a job or the apartment. I mean, just to get them in the door and get them that job, or do you go back and check on them to see how they're doing 2 years later?
Well, to me, they're not. I'm not successful. The program's not successful until they are successful, which means they get a job, they work at their job, get out on their own, get their own housing. Get their own, bear their own expenses, and take care of their own needs. Then, to me, that's success. And some people, when they're successful, they don't come back Some come back, some don't. But very few people come back or call you and say, hey, Bob, we really appreciate what you guys done for us. So, most of the time when they come back, there's an issue, there's a problem. And we have a, perpetual existence. You can always come back. You can always ask for help. We have no problem with that. Like some programs have a window that closes after 12 months, 18 months, it closes. But we don't do that because we find that people, you don't know when people are catching it. You don't know until it's too late. And we give them the option to come in before it's too late and see if we can, help you.
When they start out in the program, do you seek them out, or do they need to come to you, or their family need to come to you to ask for help?
Like I said, we get a list from the Department of Corrections every month. And what we do is we take that list, everybody that's in the Carroll County, Haralson County area, we send a letter to them and tell them that we're here. Sometimes it's the same guy that we worked with several years ago. But that letter, they respond to that. If they need our help, if they want our assistance, they respond.
But they do. They actually have to be active, though. They have to reach out to you guys after you notify them, hey, we're here for you. They have to reach
because
back
we're
out
not going to force
it's all the time
on
investment.
them. Yeah, we want them to be energetic about getting help. Because you got to find jobs, you got to find housing, you got to do some other things for them. There might be some mental problems going on there. We have to connect them to the mental health department here in Carrollton. So we want them to be responsive.
Is there any criminal record or anything that you won't work with, that you won't send out that letter for? I mean, if somebody's been in jail for 10 years and they're coming out,
we don't care how long. We don't care about that. We're people looking to help people, and everybody has a fall. Some has several falls, and some are harder than others, and we don't discriminate on who we look at or who we receive. We receive whoever comes through the door or whoever return the mail. We respond.
And there is a benefit to the community as well.
Most definitely, because the more people that we can put to work, find suitable housing, put a person that is suffering with some mental deficiency in a place where there is care for them, that affects the community, because this person is on the road of success, to some degree.
Without a program like the Carroll County Reentry Program, are there stats as far as how many people, recidivism occurs? Are there stats that, if they don't get some kind of help afterward, how many people go back to jail?
I don't have those statistics, but
they're out there somewhere. They're out there
somewhere. Yeah, man. Like I had a talk yesterday in the office. It's a lot of problems now with domestic violence, and the people that are coming in to do community service in the office. We had a talk yesterday about that. Why people are having more problems now than in the past. Not to say that it's worse, be honest with you. I think it's worse. And how do we address that? What do we need to do? First thing, we need to talk about it. And we need to get the right people to the right source. Because one lady called the other day and said that she had been battered and she had to move, separate from her husband, and she can't afford to stay where she's staying, and she don't want to be just anywhere. So how do we address that? How do we help her with that? And she says she's got an extension from the battered women's shelter. She's got an extension of time to try to find something, for her. And I told her, I said, well, we'll work at looking for something for you.
Bob Jackson is Executive Director of the Carroll County Reentry Coalition, and he's our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. Questions and comments, I encourage you to go to the News Talk 1330 Facebook page and post them there, and I'll share those with Bob after this break. Community Voice brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy on News Talk 1330, FM 106.3.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
I'm Michael Flynn, Oak Mountain Academy class of 1978.
Katie Flynn, class of 2010.
Justin Flynn, class of 2014.
Logan Flynn, class of 2019.
And I'm Marnie Flynn, current teacher at OMA.
My uncle Richard Orm Flynn, a founding father of Oak Mountain Academy, had a vision to see students become confident leaders who hold a faith-based value system in an academically rigorous environment. We are proud to celebrate 60 years of fulfilling my uncle's vision.
Our family invites you to visit the campus or oakmountain.us today.
846. Welcome back to VW LBB Community Voice News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. I'm your host, Colin Worthington. My guest is Bob Jackson, Executive Director of Carroll County Reentry Coalition. Again, he hasn't been on the program for about 3-4 years, so glad to have him back on and catch up with what's going on, and there could be some big changes in the future. Before I do continue the conversation for me, got a comment here from our good friend Alan Lee, Clerk of Courts, Carroll County. He said, let Bob know that the courts and the clerk's office are proud of the work they do, and they're happy to partner with them, and we will continue to help out in any way possible. And Alan Lee's okay. I mean, no matter what anybody says.
He has worked with us. It's just unbelievable. Yeah, because we've helped some people that have been charged with some charges, and he helped us to understand, how the charges, he just helps us a lot. Okay.
Bob Jackson, our guest on this morning's Community Voice. Again, hadn't talked to you for about 4 years, and one of those reasons is COVID. That's not going out as much. How did that affect your job and your responsibilities and your ability to do your job?
Well, in 2016 we lost one of our partners. That was Mr. Ferris, which was an intricate part of the operation. And then when COVID hit, it cut down a number of people that were volunteering at that time to come into the office. And then Mr. Sims, in 2019, we shut the office down for a little while. And he decided that it was best that he just, because he had an underlying situation that he wanted to go ahead and retire totally, because he had already retired from the state capitol. And I said, okay, man, just do what you have to do to maintain your health. So that was just me at that point. The numbers of the people, we still took care, because I had the office open every day from Monday through Thursday. We closed on Friday in commemoration of Mr. Ferris's death, but every day the office was open and the office was utilized. People calling in and people coming in, because I set up COVID protocol on the inception of people coming in, taking their temperature, putting on face masks, using hand sanitizer, you name it. And the program continued on, and right now it's just a matter of putting together a succession plan for the future so that this program continues.
And do you think there's an interest in somebody succeeding you? I mean, do you know people? Do you just put it out? Yeah.
Yes. The granddaughter of Mr. Ferris.
Oh, good.
Narvina Buchanan, and my daughter is coming in and getting a handle on things. Narvina has been there from the time that we started the program. She was a little bitty baby, or a little bitty something, and she has grew up in the program. My daughter grew up in the program from a distance because she was going to school and college, but she is beginning to get hands-on as well. So just showing them the ins and outs, the nuts and bolts of the program, of the system, explaining criminal justice and how it's structured, how it works, how it operates. Because with the COVID, we have the Department of Corrections and criminal justice system has altered and changed so many different ways in communicating simply has changed the process. The housing program has changed, and that's the reason why we're having a meeting today to discuss that, because it is getting horrendous now.
Who's that meeting with today?
Ms. Sneed.
Is that local, or is it on the state level? Or
This is state level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ms. Sneed is. She works out of the governor's office. She works out of the governor's office. Reentry, and we're going to talk today about housing and employment, and see if they can help us help them with that program, because I've got an idea that we have been using over the years, but I wanted to expand that idea and get better use from it.
are there reentry programs in every county in the state?
No, when we initially put this program together, because we were members of the NAACP, we had 122 branches in the state of Georgia. And our idea and concept was to put a reentry program in every one of those counties, which would have helped us to bring about a better success, but that didn't come to fruition.
I guess I was trying to picture why Carroll County is fortunate enough to have this program, but I guess it's
Well, I have to give the props to Mr. Ferris
yeah.
and Mr. Sims. I mean, these guys were born and raised here in Carrollton. And, when the concept come up, you're already here. You have to, go with your roots. And so we worked at setting it up here. And because we all was here, I was commuting back and forth to work, but I was here a lot, in my time. So we did it here, and then we just said that we could always expand it out.
All right, time right now is 8:52, Bob. We'll take our final break here and come
Okay.
back with about 7 minutes on this morning's
Okay.
program. Community Voice is brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy. News Talk 1330 FM 106.3.
Okay.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
As a believer in the power of education, we are called to set the standard by shaping and empowering the minds of future generations through quality education. Oak Mountain Academy embraces this philosophy, which is why my children attend this prestigious school. I am elated to serve on the OMA Board of Trustees, where together we prepare students and remind them to trust and believe in the power to transform the world. I'm Dr. Brian Bain, inviting you to celebrate our 60-year legacy of academic excellence. Visit us at oakmountain.us.
8:53, welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice, News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. I'm your host, Colin Worthington. My guest is Bob Jackson, Executive Director of the Carroll County Reentry Coalition. Again, I got about 6 minutes left in this program. You did mention volunteers a couple of times during the program. So you're accepting volunteers. How would people get in touch with you, and maybe what are qualifications and responsibilities?
They can always call the office at 770-834-6025 or call my cell phone at 678-863-3042. Once again, my name is Bob Jackson, and we can discuss the really, as far as the skills or the qualifications, you're a volunteer and you're concerned about the community. And we will teach you and show you what we do in that volunteer capacity. It's no big deal,
Right now I'm looking for things for my son to volunteer for. He's, summer off of his freshman year of college.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking for volunteer things to do because, you need that for job applications. You're
Right.
looking for your first real job,
Right.
and for, if he wants to go into a bigger school,
Mm-hmm.
you need that as well. So it's, definitely something for people to consider. We did a story this morning. The University of West Georgia this week announced that through a partnership with the U.S. Department of Education, the school will now help people who are incarcerated receive Pell Grants. They say this will allow them to continue their education and look toward a fresh start. Participating students so far, this nationwide, have earned more than 7,000 credentials, building new skills and improving their opportunities for success after re-entry into society through the initiative. Is that something that can help your program?
Yes, because we had a meeting, I'm going to say about 8 years ago. Present in that meeting was Southwire, Gary Leftwich, and also the president of the University of West Georgia.
At that time, was it Beirut back then?
Not him. It was
one after.
The golly.
I can't remember his name.
The guy that was president of out there.
Marrero. Is that it? Is it West Georgia Technical College?
Yeah, West Georgia
Skip
Tech.
Sullivan?
Yeah, there you go. We met and we talked about people that were losing their credentials. They had nursing credentials, they had other credentials, but because they went to prison and they come out, they could no longer use those credentials. And then just like with nursing, and then when we look at, we need nurses, we need people in the technical field, we need other technical people that have those credentials already, but we are barring them from getting back into what they've already been certified for. So that's a loss, and then when we start trying to find jobs for these people, they're not going to be satisfied in any other field other than what they have gone to school for and gained credentials for. So this will help tremendously.
And I'm surprised that they didn't reach out to you and discuss this. I mean, it does seem like it could help your program.
Yes.
All right, wrapping up our program this morning with Bob Jackson, Executive Director, Carroll County Reentry Coalition. So what's next? You talked about succession plan. What's next for you guys? What does the rest of the year look like for you? I mean, you plan on being here for at least the next year, or just until you're tired of it? But I'm going to have these individuals ready, for when I go.
I'm going to be here.
Yeah.
Okay. There's not I'm putting a succession plan together is not necessarily saying that I'm
ready to go.
Yeah, no, because there's a lot more work to do. And as things have changed, there is more learning out here for the criminal justice field, for the Department of Justice and what have you. So I'm putting together a plan so that these young minds can come in and start to develop and start to look at the future and how they can help mold the program for the future. So that's what's happening with the succession plan.
Anytime you've been involved with something as long as you, I mean, there's obviously going to be hurdles or things that make you change the way you've done something before or add on to things. Is there something that jumps out to you that improvements that you've made, changes you've had to made in the way you guys work over the last decade or so? I mean, like you COVID obviously was something.
You had to, COVID, all the time.
Everybody.
Just the lack of volunteers, consistent volunteers. Because when you put a program together and you bring someone in, you want to be consistent with those individuals so that you can affect, moving to the next phase, or the next level.
Yeah, because you'd hate to have somebody in there that's not as knowledgeable as you. They're in a situation. I mean, it'd be like getting. I guess an example is having a younger attorney compared to an experienced attorney who's defending you in court or something. I mean, you want that person that knows everything that's going to be able to help you out more, whether you're inspiring them or motivating them more.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they have the interest, the sincere interest of doing what is to be.
That's the key then.
That's the key.
That volunteer.
Because you can have an extensive amount of knowledge, education, what have you, but if you don't have the heart and the desire to help wayward people, you're wasting your time.
Bob, we'll close on that. Thank you for coming out this morning. Good to see you again. Bob Jackson.
Good to be seen.
It's not good to see you too, Colin. Thanks, Bob. Bob Jackson, Executive Director of Carroll County Reentry Coalition, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. Time right now is 8:59. Stay tuned for national headlines, followed by your local news. News Talk 1330, FM 106.3.